Welcome back to another bunch of slobberknockers in Cuphead. Don't deal with the devil. So we will be beginning this part by taking on Ribby and Crooks in Clip Joint Calamity. Let's hope we don't croak against these two brothers or they'll be a hopping man. Okay, so with Ribby and Crooks, we've got sort of a double boss battle here because, well, there's two of them. However, they both thankfully share the same health bar, so you don't have to worry about which one you attack. As long as you're attacking one of them, the other will croak very soon. I find Roundabout is a really good weapon in this battle because it lets me focus on dodging attacks and being able to attack them as long as I'm facing behind. And as you can see here, the special attack that I can use, like my mini super attack, is really good for attacking up close with these guys because you can actually use the maximum number of hits with it in the right range. So, in the second phase here, where the fan version of the frogs are blowing you to one side, my best strategy is stick with the one that turns into the fan because he's the easier one to damage and you can focus on moving around and dodging the other one's attack. This boss for me is one of the hardest in regards to the early game, but it's only because of the final phase, this slot machine bit, because I find these attacks really difficult to dodge and really difficult to maneuver around. And on my test playthrough, this was where I pretty much got a lot of deaths and just sort of gave up and thought I'd restart because I wasn't happy with the results. So as you can see here, I've switched over to Chaser to hopefully try and do damage while I'm focusing on dodging, but it's just a bit tricky doing it. But it's probably going to be my best strategy at the moment for it. I can definitely recommend another reason to use Roundabout for this boss is the mini fireflies that the first phase uses can be really easily taken out with that. Chaser's also really good if you want to use Chaser, but Chaser obviously does a bit less damage to them. But if you want to focus on just sort of doing damage, get rid of those things as fast as possible. Damage you want Roundabout, dealing with lots of projectiles you want Chaser. Which is why I decided to use both of them rather than the pea shooter. But as you can see here, the first phase isn't really that bad, and the second phase, as long as you're focused more on sort of carefully moving when you need to, you can get through that phase really easy as well. It's the third phase that really makes this boss battle tricky, because you can't damage the slot machine at all until it opens up its little door, which you can only do by parrying the hand. So this is also a boss battle where it sort of teaches you that sometimes you have to parry to get through boss fights. So this time we've got the 3 tigers, which becomes the bouncing balls. And this attack can be quite annoying, but there's a certain rhythm to the attacks. As long as you're just careful enough and following that rhythm, you should be okay with the tiger one. It's sort of, it can trip you up with how many of them are on screen. The 3 lizards here brings out the 3 mini discs on the floor, which for me is the harder one, because you have to really platform well with this attack. But, surprisingly, I got it done! And with that, Ribby and Croaked has croaked its last life. I'd say they are off to a better place, but I'm not really sure because the devil now owns them. But yeah, so the phase I didn't show off is if you get 3 bowls, these are rings of fire that sort of shoot up or down, and you have to either run under them or jump over them depending on where the fire is shooting. Which is a bit tricky, but once you get the hang of it, Smoke Bomb can really help with that one. But there we go. So thankfully that didn't take me too long. And I show here that there's a little shortcut bit if you want to get onto the next platforming level before you do the plane levels, which I'll show at the end of this part and into the next part. So this level, Tree Trouble, I think it's called. Yeah, it's a little annoying, but I found again, surprise surprise, Roundabout is the absolute best weapon in this because as long as you're moving and shooting your Roundabout, you'll kill these guys before they can do any damage. in this first bit anyway. It'll get a bit trickier as we move along. And that coin right there, to get the coin properly, you're meant to parry off of the pink beetles, but you can also just run and dash from the top of the slope if you find it's too hard to reach. This is the part of the area where I really recommend switching over to Chaser, which I'll be doing, but I think I'll try it a few times with Roundabout first, as these little log guys can be really annoying. The Roundabout does more damage to the wooden logs, but the little beetles make it very annoying, and if you use Chaser, as I show here, you are pretty much safe from any of the attacks that come in towards you. It's just about careful manoeuvring so that you're not in harm's way too much. But yeah, so this level gave me a lot of trouble when I was trying out the multiplayer mode in which is co-op, where you help each other out in this game. Because in multiplayer, even though there's two of you, you do a lot less damage because enemies have higher health bars to compensate for two people fighting at once. So, in my opinion, it actually makes the game a bit harder than playing it on your own, but it's really worth doing. Very fun to play it that way. But yeah, so we got a lot of these bits here are all about careful platforming, and you can see that I sort of was just at certain points in this and just being an idiot with my platforming, so yeah, not the smartest run there. But I think this one might be a bit better. Or not, we'll have to see. But yeah, this level gave me a lot of trouble with the test playthroughs, and this was the level that made me realise that Roundabout was more worthwhile than Smoke Bomb at this point. Because while you can Smoke Bomb through these enemies, and to get the pacifist ranking, which is where you don't kill anything, or I don't think it allows you to even hurt anything in a level, even if it doesn't kill. If you want that ranking, you have to use Smoke Bomb, and you'll get a super later in the game that'll also help you out with that. But we'll be getting into that later. But yeah, the pacifist ending, the pacifist level where they're a bit annoying because you're pretty much just dashing through everything, so they sort of take the fun out of the game with like the running and shooting aspect of it. But if you want to try it out, it's an extra little bragging right. I don't know if you get anything for doing all pacifist, because it has been a while since I last did it. But yeah. And as you can see here, the Chaser unfortunately won't reach unless you're on one of the moving logs, so if you really want to use Chaser to be safe, that's the best way to do it. And what I should have done was stayed on that log, but like an idiot I started moving along because I wanted to sort of get on with this level a bit. But yeah, this level gives me a lot of trouble, and this is for me definitely the harder of the two first world run and gun levels. Because spoiler alert, this is only the first island. We've still got some more islands to go to. But yeah, so on this little leaf bit, you have to watch out for the flames because they'll come up as soon as you step on the leaf characters. So you got to watch out for where they're coming from. And as you can see here, sometimes the platforming can sort of get in the way a bit. But yeah, so third time's the charm, eh? Well, let's hope. As for the little woodpecker enemies here, you can't do any damage to them. The best thing you can do is just stop and wait for them to leave. Or if you're confident you can make it, then you can run and jump through them. But yeah, you gotta be careful. So this is where dash is really useful. I will say regarding the run and gun levels, these are actually my least favourite parts of the game, as I find the run and gun levels a little bit less fun. Just because, to me, this game's got such good boss battles that I actually would have preferred just an entire game of that, but it's a nice extra bonus to be able to sort of mix up the gameplay with some platforming challenges. My problem is that these first ones aren't too bad, but as the game gets on, the run and gun levels get really annoying, and you'll be seeing a lot of that in the upcoming parts with how tough some of the run and gun levels were for me. Because so far, I've not had to really edit any of my deaths because they've only been like 1 or 2 before I beat a boss, but pretty soon you'll be seeing just how tricky this game can really get. But yeah, like I say, I recommend on anything in run and gun levels, especially. Smoke bombs are very good to have, and chaser is very helpful as well, because typically in the run and gun levels, you're more likely to just be focused on getting through the level and not needing to do a lot of damage to kill the enemies, because the enemies are weaker than the bosses. The chaser is actually really good for this. And smoke bomb, as I'll be showing off when I eventually buy it, it just basically gives you an invincible dash, which is always nice to have. Which is why I've been very positive about it, but I haven't used it in this because I wanted a stronger weapon from the start, because I struggle a lot with a pea shooter. But yeah, in regards to this dragonfly, I recommend sort of moving between the top and the bottom layer. Like, don't just try and fight him on one layer, because if you do, you'll find you're out of room to platform in no time. And you can see at the end here, I was sort of like making a lot of mistakes, but it's alright, because after you do enough damage, you can knock him out. You have to run jump and dash for that last jump though, so just be careful with that. And if you're trying to get the pacifist ending, you have to smoke bomb through him. If you don't smoke bomb, you won't be able to get by. There we go. So two levels done so far, a level and a boss. So pretty good progress we're making so far on this part actually. Much better than my test playthrough where I was stuck on ribbing and croaked for about an hour. So yeah, that's why I decided to redo this with the footage 15 now. So with those new coins, I think it's time that we buy something new from the shop. So again, ordinarily, I would say that it's up to you sort of what you want to get, but I would recommend the two charms I just bought for the heart and the smoke bomb, because if you've already beaten most of the levels like I've done, you don't really need smoke bomb for a bit, because you'll be getting coins anyway on the next few islands. So as you can see here, I'm sort of just changing around my charms, because this is where you'll want to start working with having a charm and a super and 2 weapons is ideal for some of this. I don't know why I messed around here with the menu, but yeah. I decided for this boss that I wanted heart, yeah, instead of smoke bomb, because this is Cagney Incarnation in Floral Fury. This boss is really popular with people, actually. It's actually one of my least favourites. Like, the music's alright and it has grown on me, but I find this a really easy boss, honestly. Like, I think I might lose one attempt here, I'm not actually sure, or I do it first time trying, but that's usually how it goes for me. I don't usually struggle with this guy because his pattern's really easy to recognise, since he always does a bit of a shake before he does an attack anyway, and the attacks he does use, for the most part, they're not too bad. You've got plenty of room in this level to move around, so as long as you're using the dash, and if you have Smoke Bomb, that'll help even more, but I decided to go in here with an extra heart, just in case things got a bit dicey towards the end. But yeah, I recommend for this boss, you really want Chaser for the final phase, but Roundabout can also work really well for this. His hitbox is only the head as well. You have to make sure that you're only attacking the head. But yeah, this is the final phase already. Like, it's really short, this boss fight. Even with heart, which reduces a bit of your damage in exchange for an extra hit point, I'm still able to get to the third phase with like very little trouble. And as I show here, like, the parries in this phase are really easy to get as well, so if you're trying to get like a good score, you can spend a bit of extra time on this last phase and just parries that way. Normally I would have gone more into it, but nope, we have done pretty easy boss, all things considered. He's got some interesting attacks, like, as you saw in the first phase, you can sort of turn his head into a bit of like a turret that shoots out little seeds, but as long as you parry the pink one, you won't have a problem. If you don't parry the pink one, all that happens is the other seeds become little, like, snapping plants. They'll try and hurt you a little bit on the ground, while the other one just sort of becomes like a moving plant that shoots a projectile, but it's nothing too hard. What you looking at, my chip? Ha! It's not my fault, I've been busy fighting off those casino betters. Now I gotta save up to have my blade fixed, so help me, I wish someone would bust that king dice one. So you can see here with this little guy here, I was sort of like trying to fidget around because there's a coin there. I forgot to get that coin, you have to beat all of the levels of the first island before he'll move out of the way. So that's why I sort of just was running into him. Well, let's see what we've got up here.
What's that? You two want to fly with me? Oh, you're not sitting in the cockpit till you read those blueprints.
Yeah, I sort of skimmed through the dialogue box at first there. But basically, this is the other part of Cuphead. You've got the run and gun levels, the regular boss levels, and you've got the plane levels. So in these, you can shrink in order to move quicker, but your projectile goes really short. You can shoot a regular type of bullet, and we'll get another weapon later. You can still parry, which is really good to know, and these levels you really want to parry because as a plane, the bosses typically take longer because your pellets don't do that much damage, so the boss fights are usually a lot longer. And when you've got all of your meter full, rather than getting to choose a super attack, you get this atom bomb super attack, which does pretty good damage actually. And it also makes you invincible, so even if, say, an attack was coming towards you, and you weren't close enough to hit the enemy with it, but you had a full super meter, you could just crash into the projectiles and save yourself a hit. But yeah, that's it. So next time on Cuphead, we will be tackling whatever this observatory has to show us. So thank you for watching.